Good evening, everybody. It is Pseudo. Welcome to a solo MMOBuff podcast show. It is episode 39, all about audience participation, which basically means me talking to you. And in fact, there's even a very special thing, because what I'm going to be doing periodically is letting you guys get seen. That's right. We're actually going to do a show where the focus really isn't about me, it's about you, the audience, and everything that goes with it. So a huge hello to absolutely every single one of you who has decided to show up today. And for all of you who have been waiting for my return, I'm going to try my best to be as active as I can this next upcoming week. My back is still not where it needs to be. I'm hoping to get in with the doctor soon, get that sorted. On top of that, it's also nice to know that I can do a solo show without muting myself to start like Mutezilla. Because I do that occasionally. But I'm not muted this time, which is lovely. So, good evening. Hopefully you have had a better Monday than some of the people I have spoken to today. I've spoken to a couple of people today who have had pretty much everything explode on them. It's just one of those things. But yes, so, hello. Monday's show has usually got Mizpa and myself arguing the toss. That's not happening this week. In fact, next week I have a special guest joining me for episode 40. His name is Lewis. He's been involved in game development. In fact, he's one of the people who helped come up with the concept for Subnet, which is the game that Chris is currently making. And that game is amazing in its development, but it is, he's going to be joining me, and he and I got into a little bit of a discussion about the differences and the changes that have occurred in the MMO landscape across the world, but that's not what we're necessarily going to be focusing on. So, let me start off by saying, hi everybody, talk to me, because yes, I am alone today. Now, there are a couple of things that I basically am going to use today's show for. It's not every day that I get the chance to rant, or complain, or I guess share my frustrations. And I'm going to kind of use today as that platform, because I kind of think, well, Martin's not here to stop me. He's not here to challenge me. And I don't have to prove to him anything. Because, you know, that's sort of how we work. But Mizpa himself hopefully will be able to rejoin us very soon. But there are some changes coming. Let's start off with news. So to start out, I realize I say to start out a lot when I'm talking to myself. That's weird. But anyway, our starting news, next month is our 1-year anniversary here at MMOBuff. Now this is bringing some big changes to what we're doing here at MMOBuff Studios. So I'm going to start out by saying, for those of you who are interested in really getting involved, I've got quite a few people already who have shown quite a bit of interest in doing things with us. I'm going to be having going up within the next month a little list of opportunities for people to get involved. And this goes to everything from people who might want to write for us to people who might want to stream for us. So if you are interested in things like that and you kind of want to help out with what we do here and bring amazingly awesome content to people, including covering games that we've never looked at before, now's your chance to get involved. And yes, I know there are an awful lot of Mizpa followers, but I have to say, part of the joy of having Mizpa as one of my best friends is the fact that I get to tease him and pick on him, because he does the same thing to me. And it seems one of my dogs needs a little bit of attention. I do apologize. I'm home alone today. My husband has decided to take a trip, which has left me with 2 dogs who are very vocal. Usually he keeps them quiet, but that's not necessarily happening today. So yes, we have our 1-year anniversary coming up, starting the very first week of September. Now, as to how we're going to do that with the way that September seems to just sort of start on a Monday, I'm thinking that's probably what's going to end up happening, is just starting on Monday, the entire month of September is going to have lots of little treats, lots of little swag prizes, and a whole bunch of stuff for us to give away. So if you're interested in, I don't know, swag, if you're interested in maybe game codes, if you're interested in anything that Swagzilla can get her hands on, be prepared, because September, every single show is going to be full of little bits of giveaways here and there. So exciting. Right. So, my nitpick. Oh no, should I reveal that yet? I might as well. Okay, so for those of you who are familiar with MMOBuff, as a whole, because there's more to us than just the shows that we do here on Twitch. We also have our website as well, where we have two amazing writers, both All-Star MMO, who is known as Dave Pugh, and Screenager, one of our hosts for our shows, known as Ed. He and Dave have been doing an awful lot of writing for us, and they're going to be doing even more. We've got some big things coming, but we also got some new content writers coming as well. So be prepared for that. But there's going to be some interesting things with our show changes and our show lineups, and I'm not allowed to tell you everything just yet. Do be aware that come next month, and it might start sooner, we're going to have some things that are going to be panicked and ran that way. I don't know whether you heard her when she passed by. It's when I was talking about how loud she can be. She ran, went over towards where we are plugged into our fiber connection, and disconnected us. I had to then get up, go, reconnect us, and hopefully everything is okay now. You'll have to let me know. And what we're going to do is we're going to bring you all up into the forefront. Ta-da! What? No! You cannot do this to Ryakachi. Bad Nightbot. Bad. Oh, Ryakachi. See, it was the dogs. And I don't know why it decided to treat you so horribly. So, I'm going to have to add you as a regular. I will fix it. I haven't done everything I need to do with Nightbot yet. But I will fix it because, yeah, there is no reason that you should have to go through that in any way, shape, or form. But I'm going to start going through some of the questions that I see on the screen. Cameron, yes, as a matter of fact, it is just me today, which is kind of brilliant. But technical difficulties for the win. And Raikachi, you need to stop that. Naughty, naughty. Although, hey, there's going to be some things coming for subscribers soon, too. So do keep in mind that if you're a Twitch subscriber, you'll have opportunities for things. If you're a YouTube subscriber, you'll have opportunity for things. If you're, following us on various networks, September is going to be huge. Now, September is huge in a couple of different ways. One, like I said, MMOBuff is celebrating its first year anniversary. Two, I'm also celebrating my birthday in September as well. But I'm not telling you when, because it's kind of pointless. Not worth mentioning in any way, shape, or form. In fact, that's the only time I'm ever going to mention it. So September is huge. There's going to be a lot of giveaways. So make certain to keep yourselves involved with us. But one of the things I want to speak to you guys about, because this is a part of the audience participation, is the type of shows that you're looking for, the things that you would like us to cover, the games you would like us to tackle. Remember, there is more to us than just this Twitch channel. We also do interviews with people at conventions. We also try to hunt down people in the various games industries and try to bring them in and talk to them about a variety of subjects. Everything from, VR usage to what's the latest and greatest in a MMO that's decided to go free to play. But we want to do more than just that. We'd like to bring you guys more analytical discussions about any type of game that is online. So, what type of games are you interested in? Do you guys really want a Quake 2 dedicated show, says Chris. Bid the dog, he says. You want a Quake 2 dedicated show. Do you still play Quake? I'd be really curious to know how many people play Quake. That would be an interesting thing. Or not Quake, Quake 2. It's very specific. But yes. I also am interested in learning about timings for you guys. We've heard some people say that the timings that we have are brilliant, and we've heard some people say timings are not so good. Now, we have a couple of shows across a couple of different times for various reasons, really. Things that help us to ensure that we get to the right people, and also to ensure that we bring to you guys the things that you really enjoy. So Raikachi used to be pro. What are you trying to say? You're a filthy casual now? Is that what you're saying, Raikachi? I see. Well, see, that's one of the things that interests me is, the esports side of things. And there's something to be said for getting involved and learning a little bit more about how the esports genre is working, because there's quite a few things out there. And as was mentioned on one of the Blizzard forecasts, which is on a Wednesday night, there was a huge controversy when they limited women being able to play in a particular tournament, which just seemed kind of odd to me. This week, we have tomorrow's campfire. We've got Lonren on. He is from Anouk. He is their CM for Anouk, and he is a hysterical person. I'm curious to see if he's more of a troll than Screenager and Ed and Blank Space, because those two are horribly, horribly good at stuff like that. Right. So Elua says that she usually is involved in the YouTube replays. That is something that we're trying to do a little bit better. We've had to make several changes and adjustments, and unless I can get somebody who has as much skill set as I do in something like Premiere or something else like that, it's going to be a little bit more difficult. But our shows are going to be hitting whatever we do this week will show up next week, this coming up weekend on YouTube. That's how we've changed the structure. And it's a little difficult because of my back to keep things up the way we've been doing it in the past couple of weeks, but everything should be back on schedule now. Should be. Raikachi believes that esports will be the first in the future where both sexes can compete on an even level. That's interesting. I mean, we had a very special, lovely lady join us on the campfire, and my gosh, my brain just completely took a dump, and I don't remember what her name was, but I absolutely adored her. And she is heavily into esports, and a lot of people, when she goes to various competitions, don't realize she's actually there to compete, which is saying something. Just doesn't make much sense to me. How about strategy? How about strategy games? I'm so sorry about the barking dog. She's just adding to the entire show tonight. Donna Pryor is the other one. See, now you've got me going to look it up. The fact that my brain can't remember makes me feel really, really, really bad. So I'm going to go look this up while you guys do this. Star Slayer. Yes. Thank you. Your scary memory. A scary memory is awesome. I appreciate it. Aussie got that one. Yes. Star Slayer came on. She's amazingly good. And esports are definitely something we want to look at. But I'm talking about types of genres and things that you guys might like to see. I mean, we are going to start bringing streamers to our channel, which means when we don't have a show on, there is the possibility that we're going to have somebody streaming games that maybe you have seen, maybe you haven't seen. And this does include the fact that we will have a weekend coming up in the next... Probably, it may actually be at the start of the next year, depending upon how everything works. But we're going to be looking at adding a game jam. We're going to look at trying to set up a game jam so that we can have one every 6 months, roughly speaking. So that'll be awesome. I have, the barky dog is named Sigma, and the Chewa dog, because she looks like a gremlin / Chewa, is named Belle. Sigma, would you like to become famous? Give me a second. I'll actually come let her say hello. Come on. Thank you. Yes. So this is Sigma. This dog is usually kept out of the loop because usually Gwyn's is here to take care of her. But unfortunately, it didn't quite happen that way. Not tonight. Down you go, sweet pea. Get all this stuff on me. And hey, Coolman, welcome. So game-related is an awful lot of things. Actually, she's a Heinz 57. She is a mixture of a whole bunch of stuff. Belle, on the other hand, and I'm being incredibly informal today, by the way. Normally our shows are a bit more structured and formal, but today it's all about the interaction with you all. So if you guys have any questions about any of our shows or things that you'd like to see, things you'd like to know, if you even want to sort of get hints as to things behind the scenes, this is the show to ask. But Sigma is a Heinz 57. She was brought into the RSPCA and was the last one of her litter to go. And we grabbed her, and she came to live with us at the same time that we also kept one of the cats that we were fostering, which I named Java, after the programming language, might I add. And he and Sigma, because the cat's male, the dog's female, have been best friends for a while. But then we realized that as the cat got older, he didn't really care as much about the dog. And we thought, well, maybe she needs a playmate. So we got ourselves another dog named Belle. And Belle we saved from breeding. So she was a breeder dog, but she's actually a purebred Lhasa Apso. And she is ditzy as heck. She doesn't even know what day it is most of the time. She just gets this look on her face of, It's brilliant. But yes, everything seems to have calmed down a little bit more, which is fantastic. But yes, so Well, it does tend to be a bit different when you have only one person on, which is why it's about the audience participation. Today is basically my chance to let you guys get in questions about anything you want to know and also give suggestions. I want to get your feedback as to things that you guys think that we can improve on, and I also want you guys to be blunt with us. We take feedback, both good and bad, and I stress that. And now I'm in a public setting saying I want all your feedbacks. Gives them to me. So I now have this feeling I need to get Belle on here so you guys can meet the other dog as well. You'll let me know if you want to meet Belle. I'll be happy to introduce you to the Belle Bells because she is a bit ditzy. She never knows what day it is. She doesn't even know where she is half the time. She gets so confused. Oh, my heart goes out to you. I know what that feels like. I really do. So, any chance of longer streams? Well, this is something we have to keep in mind. When it comes to doing the shows themselves, we want to keep them very relatively set to a time frame. So we don't want our shows to really be longer than an hour. But what we are looking at doing is still allowing the post show or in the occasional longer show. For example, the data mine, our Thursday show, can sometimes go on a little bit longer. And the reason for this is because of the information and the guests that we get in. And developers are crazy passionate, especially when they get a bee in their bonnet about something. It's like, wow. For example, last week I wasn't able to participate except as sort of the back end producer for the show, and I just sat there going, ooh, 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 debate. Now they're gonna go at it. It's brilliant. But we're looking at trying to keep that structure. But what we are looking at bringing is people who want to stream on our channel under the MMOBuff name and stream games that they like to play, stream games that are coming out, and be willing to talk analytically about it. Be willing to look past just the simply, this is pretty and I like the colors, because that's not what we're about here. So if you are someone who is interested in streaming, keep that in mind. We are looking for people to come stream under the MMO banner, and that can do all kinds of crazy things to people. It can make you insane. It can make you realize just how weird the world really is. But yes. Yesterday, or last Thursday's show was pretty amazing. For those of you who are unfamiliar with it, do me a favor, type !Thursday. Maybe learn something new. Maybe. Maybe. Oh gosh, you've already forgotten Adam's name. Wow. It's because you wanted to call him Andy to start. Colors aren't planning on changing that I'm familiar with. But yes. Oh, well, thank you very much for that. I've actually... I've teasingly said to a lot of my developer friends, if you ever need any voicing, let me know. I do like to... Actually, one of my big things, if I could have my way, folks, I get to spend most of my time gaming. Okay, let me break that down. My life would be split into two separate sections. I'd be gaming for one part of it, and I would be developing for another part. And I say that because I am involved in a game's development. And as time goes on, I'll tell you guys more and more about this game that a friend of mine has been working on for years that he has kindly let me get involved with and everything. So I'll start teaching you guys about that game, but not right now. But I would spend my time doing gaming, whether it's doing like the shows like this or research or interviews. But then the other half would be me spend reading books to people. I like reading to people. And I have some friends who are really cool enough to just let me do nothing but stream to them. And apparently the stream has paused again. Or it's not stream to them, but read to them. But apparently it's paused again. I don't know. Something's going on with Twitch right now. So, the theme of the game that is currently being worked on, I am going to now reveal only what I am allowed to. I am under an NDA here. For those of you who are unaware, the main #1 in-your-face developer of this game is actually E.G. Aussie in the stream. He has been my best friend forever. In fact, publicly, I loves you, man. But he has been working on a system for 4 years. He's been working on the story itself for more than 4 years, and he's been kind enough to let me get involved. So I get to offer advice, help play test, and I also get to do, some of the concepts I have, he takes and he goes, well, we can implement this, we can't. It's really amazing. And I will let him speak on behalf of the game because, in my opinion, it is his game. I am just bloody lucky to be involved in the development of it. It's just one of those things. Kind of got to be a subscriber in order to use MMO Love there. But here, I'll even do it for you. See? MMO Love. Ching. So, and no, I will tell you that the game that I am involved in has nothing to do with MMO Buff at all. It just so happens that on the side, I actually do game development. But yes. And Ithantos, in reference to me being a good storyteller, I am of the opinion that I will never be a master at anything I pick up in my life. So all I can do is pray that as I tell stories to people, they enjoy it. But what I meant by telling stories to my friends is I like to read them books. I'm kind of like your book. You know, the audiobooks? I would love to sit there and read somebody their chemistry work. It wouldn't bug me in the slightest. It would be pretty darn awesome, in fact. The little things I wish I could do in my life. It's just, we need more time. We need a lot of things. And not to be in pain would be bloody brilliant. If I start looking really flushed, it's because my painkillers are starting to wear off, and I do apologize. I'm in just a little bit of pain today. But yes. So, well, exactly. I would love to get involved in that. I'd also love to voice characters, too. One of the things I like is a story that has a really good feel to it, where I can take on the different personas, because I could play that really evil woman, or I could play that really kind and awesome woman. I could even play that weak woman that I want to smack in games. You know, the ones where the woman really does nothing that irritates the hell out of me? It would absolutely drive me nuts. I'm an okay singer. I admit, in my history, I actually when I was growing up, I wanted to be an opera singer. So I've actually had singing training as well. I don't exactly consider myself very good, but then again, I will tell you that about anything I do. I'm not good at anything. I have so much to learn. I have so much to master, and I've got this lifetime to do it in this shell. We'll see what happens next. But let's see. So the code. Now I see how Gwent goes to bed with a teddy wrapped up with his blankie. Josie Reed. You know, it's more likely that I would end up reading to him the latest Clancy novel or something, because that's more his thing. But he wouldn't curl up with a teddy. Suliko, no. He would curl up with the plushy Cthulhu. I love plushy Cthulhus. Absolutely love it. I have been so blessed by so many of the friends that I have developed through the MMO community. Sulika is one of them. She made for me this amazing plushy Cthulhu, and I can't even begin. It's like this. It's massive, and it is like I snuggle it when I go to sleep. It's my thing. It plushy Cthulhu. What can I say? It's great. I am not about to sing right now. Let's see. We could sing in code. Interesting. What type? Would you want to do it in pseudo code? Ba-dum-bum. Ching. Sorry, I really abused myself. That's really bad. I do apologize. It's just one of those things. One of those days, I think, where you guys get to see a slightly loopier version of who I am. But we could totally do... Considering the fact that I'm also involved in amateur radio, it could get really crazy. Singing in block scope. Now, that's something I'd have to learn. That would be interesting, because I haven't messed with block scope, so I couldn't do it. I'd have to be presented it and then figure out some way to sing it. There you go. That's one of our shows. Learn to code through song. Looster, you're going to be involved in that one, right? You're going to be one of our coders who teaches people how to code through song. Make sure you put the semicolon in the right place. Ha! That would be brilliant. But yes. I will tell you, Davros, I love, and I'm sort of scrolling back because of how the text is showing up in front of me, but I love education and learning. And I've learned so many different methods. For those of you who are actually unaware, I have 3 after school degrees. I have my associates, my bachelor's, and my master's. I've contemplated going after my doctorate, but I still can't. I can't convince myself to do it. I can't, because I know how much time it would take to go after my doctorate. But could you imagine Dr. Pseudo? That would be brilliant. But I love learning, and I realize I don't need to go to school to learn. I've got Google. And I have critical thinking skills, so I know not to worry about just accepting the first answer that's given to me. I don't believe the first thing I read. I don't believe the second thing I read. I actually like to dig in deeper and try to understand the methodology behind why someone reached a particular conclusion, and then dig into that and just go absolutely crazy. Oh, God. I am not going to sing. I am so tempted to, but I am not going to sing it in any way, shape, or form. But yes, I also, though, am a firm believer that education, both higher and lower education, is incredibly important. So I'm one of those people who will tell you, you're perfectly fine not going after your college diploma, but you're also perfectly okay going after it as well. And hey, Mumba D, welcome. You have joined us in the audience participation Monday show. And that, to me, Bid the Dog, is a secret. One of the key things for me in education, and I think this is why I did so well in it, is I never relied on my teachers. I relied on myself. I really wanted to ensure that any subject matter that was put in front of me was meaningful to me. So I basically taught myself how to make everything I learned relevant in some way. You have to want to learn, but there is a way, I think, and this, I think, is more the formative things. And I wish Dr. Marshmallows was around, because Dr. Marshmallows is very heavy into education, and he's one of the hosts for Top Draw. But he would be able to go into the learning development that happens at a younger years. I would rather teach people to enjoy learning than, say, force people to say, you must learn English if someone really hates English. I'd rather them focus on things that they really enjoy and try and figure out a way to build an educational platform for which they can all stand together, which is why I'm a huge fan of gaming, because I think gaming can teach things that nobody else can really get their hands on or truly, truly understand. So Cameron says, Josie, come on, get to the local amateur musical theater groups. We'll put on a show. Gotta love a bit of musical theater. I'm only going to let you in on this hint once. Mispa and I are working on something for MMOBuff that is a music video. And that's all I'm saying. I'm never mentioning it again. Let's see. But the Dog says education's overrated. It's about wanting to learn, which I had just tackled on. And Davros says, asking, I basically an A-star and everything at school. I'm one of those individuals who puts myself in the standards that I hold myself personally to, because I don't hold anybody to any standards I don't hold myself to. It's one of those, everyone's got their own level of achievement. Some people are going to be, say, excellent at math, and others are going to be amazing at English, but sort of teeter here and there. I am the kind of person where I need to prove to myself that I understood the concepts that were presented to me, which is why I never really relied on my teachers. If I did not get the optimum score plus bonuses, I would go back until I got it. I would hound the teacher until I understood what they were looking for, and then presented it to them in a method that they understood, but then I'd still do things differently so that I made certain that I understood. I admit entirely that I was the individual that you wanted to go to for your study group. I made certain stuff got done. I'm a whip cracker. But I also try to make it fun, because I think educational experiences have to be fun and enjoyable. If you're not enjoying yourself, you're never going to retain the information that's presented to you. So, yeah, I admit it. I did get a lot of, I'd say A-stars, but in the US, it's a different kind of thing. Let's just say I maintained a 4.0 average. We'll leave it at that. Cameron's asking what my master's in. My master's is actually in information security. So things like ethical hacking, things like protecting data that you have on systems, things like heuristics, encryption, all that kind of stuff is what I got my master's in. So there, you've learned that one. And I haven't been in school in a very long time, Davros. So yeah, I started failing when I was in like my earlier years because the education system didn't realize that what they were teaching me was boring me. Once they realized that they needed to really, really push me, and I take my hat off to my mother for this, she basically attacked the school system until they found the right methodology for teaching me. But as soon as I was in school doing things that interested me, nothing stopped me. But as soon as I, as an individual, learned when I'm presented with a subject matter that is boring to me, I need to figure out how to make it interesting to myself. That's when I personally took over my life and my educational philosophies. And I never failed after that. I refused to because I wanted to know that I picked up what I wanted and what I found interesting. And I can make almost any topic interesting. I just have to be presented with a topic in which to make interesting. So there's a challenge for you all, an in-depth look into this. So next, more stuff. Let's see. Bid the Dog says, if you go for it, go to university, but you're going to come out with lots of death and an education that's 3 or 4 years out of date. To a point, yes, and to a point, not so. It depends entirely upon what you do along with your education. If you use the educational process to just, oh, now I've got more schoolwork to do. Now I've got more schoolwork to do. That's one thing. But if you look at it from oh, that's a topic I've never been taught before. I'm going to now start following those people on Twitter. I am now going to start reading the trade mags that are associated with that particular subject matter. Then you start taking control of your education and you won't be out of date. You may be in debt, but you won't be out of date. So, but yes. And scrolling back up a little because I want to make certain I'm tackling absolutely everything. And technical degrees are definitely interesting. Don't get involved in a subject matter, folks, if you're not interested in it. Don't do something for money, because honestly, there's no money to be made in this world. You got to do something you enjoy, or it's just not going to be fun. Okay, so more stuff. Let's see here. La la la. Yes, you need to have the drive to want to learn. If you go to school and you don't want to learn, you're wasting your time and everybody else's. I'll tell you that much right now. I have no doubt in my brain that Chris, Bid the Dog, got an A star in drama. Something tells me that even before he had the epic beard, which guarantees success in life, he carried the bearing of a man who was going to have an epic beard. Therefore, he was successful in everything he set forward. We should totally do a skit sometime together. Oh my God, we could totally do like a skit about how to not build a game. That would be brilliant. Go into all the tropes that are out there. I will keep my fingers crossed for you on your GCSEs, man. They are a bit of a terrifying thing. For those of you who are unaware of what the GCSEs are, the GCSEs are sort of like the SATs in America. I say sort of because the SATs focus specifically on English and maths, whereas the GCSEs are subject matters. So you could do poetry, art, science, engineering. You can get very specific, and based on your results for your GCSEs, it can actually help you with your placements. So I'll keep my fingers crossed for you. You have got to keep me up to date on that, Cameron, because I know how terrifying it can be. But I also know some people who have failed and flunked their GCSEs and are now leaders of big bloody companies. So don't let the results stop you from getting involved in what you are interested in. Seriously. Don't do that. Let's see. Oh, Deborah's got an F in drama because refused to do everything. Aww. See, it's very difficult when you do something in a public setting. A lot of people don't want to be involved in a public kind of broadcast thing. It gets terrifying for them. I know people who are perfectly fine, but the moment I say, hey, we're live, they're like, I don't know what to say. It's like, just relax. You're just talking to people. You're having a good time. It can be very, very difficult, but there are secrets. And if you ever want to get some secrets, I'll be happy to pass them on to you. And apparently I'm now pissing off Chris, which is great. It's all about family. Let's see. You're an ISO. You kind of work in ISO, the company you work for, Tristan and other companies, how to do it. I don't know if I can post a link. I don't see a problem with you posting a link. If something happens to you where you go to post a link and something horrible happens, don't worry, I understand. I don't believe you should have a problem with it, though, Davros. If you wish to post it, you can. I'd be curious to know what exactly it is that you do with an ISO, because it's sort of like saying, I'm a doctor. A doctor of what? Do you study biology? Do you study children? Do you treat people in a hospital? Do you specialize in ear, nose, and throat? It's such a broad subject matter. It can be anything, so I'd love to know specific things that you're interested in. Especially considering I'm going to be doing a security for gaming very soon. Hello, old Git. Hearts to you, my dear. Let's see. Raikachi, don't forget to put the mail behind your lines. People might get confused. I do apologize for that. It's very hard in today's day and age for me to use he or she properly. So it's more or less they is just, I'm just going to default to they. They believe. And, you know, I do apologize if I get your gender wrong. To me, I really don't care what your gender is. But, you know, hey, I do apologize. That was really funny. Some people aren't good at exams. Some people are much more practical. Some grades shouldn't determine a person's intelligence. It's all about the education system. We could totally get into this. History is an amazing thing. In fact, one of the people who came on to the data mine, his name is Patrick, he stressed, if you want to get into doing stuff, have a huge basis of knowledge. Just spend time reading Wikipedia. You're not always going to get facts. Keep this in mind, folks. But just spend time reading and gaining as much knowledge as you can, History Channel and things like that, because it can actually inspire you for a lot of problem solving or ideas that you might want to get involved in for game development. So I do stress that one. Davros. I knew someone like that. You know what their secret was? They treated every single class work as an exam. That's what they did. Eloa is a creative person. I'm only interested to learn what I can use to create what I want to create. You need to go back and you need to watch the Data Mine episode we had with Patrick. He is the artist who is involved in the creation of... Oh, gosh, game, don't leave my name now. Darn it, darn it, darn it, darn it, darn it. Either way, he is all about what things you need on a creative level in order to make things really fascinating in the future. So, yeah, he gives some amazing advice to the creative people. So, let's see. Right, so as Bid the Dog points out, he learned Pythagoras' theory, algebra, vector math, etc. Never used it until I decided to become a programmer, and even then I spent 16 years not using most of the advanced stuff. Now I'm doing some game development. I'm all over it. I don't have the book in front of me, but I occasionally have to pull out my discrete mathematics book. That's fun. That's when I know I'm starting to get into the realm of territory of what am I doing. It's great. And then Davros is sharing a link, in which I will check back after the show and stuff, because I definitely want to stay focused on what we've got going here. Dat Fox, you say you're terrible at exams. If we turned, and this is for Dat Fox specifically, if we turned exams into a TCG, do you think you would pass them? Think about that. Let me know. I'd be curious to know. Let's see. It depends on your job. This is so very, 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 very true. And now I've caught up to the point where I don't have to look that way. I can look this way now, which is very, 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 very good. But yes, it is very useful in some subjects. They argue that gives you a grounding, someone to apply things. See, that's the thing. I am more of a person who believes that education needs to not be based just on some basic fundamentals. You should have some basic math. You should have some basic skill set. There you go, Nicody. Your name is now on screen. Congratulations. But gosh, now you've made me forget what I was saying. I'm a firm believer you should have some kind of basic understanding, but then what you should focus on is the actual trade skill itself, the things that you find really fascinating. So if you find, the concept of math exceptionally fascinating, you should have a heck of a lot of classes in math. I mean, I was so fascinated by math and logic, proper logic puzzles, you know, where you're given 5 names, 5 houses of 5 colors with 5 different pets and trying to figure out who is sorted where. Logic and things like that so appealed to me. I had my multiplication tables down pat by the time I was 3 because my mom recognized that my brain is too fast. It needs something to focus on. And she's like, well, here, just have math. And she just shoved math. I still remember the very first thing I learned. 6 times 7 is the very first one that I learned in my multiplication table. I don't know why my mom chose that, but I remember sitting on her bed and her telling me that. That was the night after I took apart her stereo system because I wanted to find the tiny people that were inside making the music. And she woke up to see her stereo system completely dismantled with the wires color-coded, lined out in rows based on length. Yeah, she realized then that something had to be done. I kind of destroyed that. Sorry. Maths. Funny. Let's see. I think I just missed somebody's comment. Dad Fox says, absolutely. I kind of figured if we turned, educational exams into TCGs, you would excel. That's at least my belief on that. And Nick Honey, by all means, feel free to ask any questions you'd like to know. This is one of the very few times in MMO Buff, not really, we're going to start doing it a lot more, where we're giving everybody a chance to talk to the hosts and dig into any knowledge you'd like to know about us, including our opinions on games, including our opinions on game development in the world at large. So this is kind of your get a chance to get to know me, but also learn a bit about MMO Buff as well, because I am going to peel back the quote-unquote lid when dealing with things. You just have to ask the right questions, especially since our 1-year anniversary is coming up next month. But yes, TCGs are trading card games, Cameron, just so that you know. Oh man, trigonometry. I fell in love with that stuff when I got introduced to logarithms. I remember I was sitting at the table, and my math teacher was going over logarithms and things, and I was like, "What the?" And then it clicked as to how logarithms worked, and I just went, "Oh, this all makes sense now. I get it." Math. I'm American. I use a different term. I'm not talking. Watch your language, young man. I am talking about math, not the other thing. Dotty naughty. Let's see. There's also the argument that as a teenager, or even someone who is young and experienced at least, that you don't know what you want to do, so you need some basic grounding across all subjects. Davros. No. Bad Davros. No, math. M-A-T-H. Maths. But yes. So, yeah. Well, I do appreciate that. Let me first tackle something that Nick Honey has pointed out. I'd love to know from you. Final Fantasy's relaunch is kind of been a success, but there's also been people who've had their complaints about it. I'd love to hear from you, from what you've played, whether you found it enjoyable or not, because there's something to be said for restarts, reinvents, and things like that. You didn't get taught logarithms? Brain just exploded. And Devros, I appreciate it. If you want to know about what our shows are, I'll be happy to quickly go through. That's just so horrible. Stop trolling me. Actually, no, by all means, feel free to troll me all you want. But no, I would be happy to go over. In fact, I should, because we're kind of getting closer and closer to the time when I actually stop the show. But a little insight for those of you who are new to us and who are unfamiliar with what we are, because some people drop in and are like, what's this? Well, allow me to at least let you know. Welcome to MMO Buff, which we like to dub the analytical voice of online gaming. And that's the moniker, but we do so much. We have a website, MMOBuff.TV, where we have really brilliant writers who are not afraid to tackle topics that a lot of people might kind of look at and go, you're actually writing about that? But they also bring incredibly good information and points of views about a variety of games. We are going to be looking for more writers. Keep that in mind. We also do Twitch. On Twitch, we have currently 6 shows. On our YouTube site, we have 7. And that's going to change. It's going to change. We've got some stuff coming up in our 1-year anniversary. But Monday, it's all about the MMO Buff podcast currently. I'm going to let you all in on a secret since you're here. This is changing. I will state, next week, we do have a guest joining me, and his name is Lewis, and he has opinions, and he is funny, and you will love him. He also has this epic goatee. It's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Tuesday, it's all about the campfire. We have Real Blank Space, Screenager from Afterlife Gaming, and myself with guests. And we talk all about communities, online communities in specific, because I actually care about how we're seen, believe it or not. I get sick of the media trying to go, it's the community's fault for why things are horrible. Please. There's so much more we can do to it than that, and that's what we're doing at the campfire. And this week, we've got Lanram from Anouk joining us, and I'm really excited because he is crazy, and he has to wake up early to be on our show because he is in Pacific time, and we're in UK time. It's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Wednesday is the Blizzard forecast, where we have Mizpa, Parv, usually Trollton, and Blank Space discussing the Blizzard IP. Mizpa, unfortunately, has run into a few snags with work is really the best way to do it, and some other things, and he hasn't been able to be on any shows lately, and I do apologize for that, but he will be back. Thursday at 1 p.m. UK time is the Data Mine, where we have Bid the Dog and a brand new host joining us as we talk independent game development. Everything from how do you do parkour in games, which is something that Chris did with us, to how do you actually put Oculus Rift VR technology into a game and not make people throw up, which may be one of our topics this week. I'm not exactly certain who we're going to have on as a guest this week, but I do know that next week on Thursday, on the 14th, we have a guest coming from DTG, Digital Tribe Games, who is one of the PR representatives. So if you want to learn about the PR side of things and what game companies, or I should say PR companies, will do for a game developer, you're going to want to be present there. And, oh my gosh, will you guys leave the math alone? Leave the meth alone. It's math I'm talking about. Ugh! Crazy, you all. And then on Friday we have Cosmotronic, which is our show about WildStar. That show is going to be changing soon. And then Saturday is usually our Top Draw show, which is a TCG, SCG, CCG show with Dr. Marshmallows and myself, where Dr. Marshmallows trolls the living bejeebus out of me. We've been discussing Infinity Wars TCG, which is amazing. If you haven't tried it, you need to. But Infinity Wars, and we're going to be changing that show ever so slightly as well. In fact, the day it's going to be on is going to change. So, now that I've gone through the little spiel there, that's what we do on Twitch. On YouTube, we're going to have some interviews coming out. Actual face-to-face interviews. We also have some little shorts and snippets. We are going to be looking at adding some Let's Plays of games as well as funny moments from our streamers, because we are going to be looking for people who are interested in streaming games for us, playing games, talking about them, talking with the community, things like that. And that's our YouTube side of things. And yeah, so we have 3 different things that we've got going on here at MMO Buff, and next month is our 1-year anniversary. Usually you see me fighting and arguing with Mizpa. Next week I'm going to be fighting and arguing with somebody else. It's going to be brilliant. Tonight is just a bit of relaxation. So going through all the things that we had that I have missed, because I've seen things come through and I don't mean to ignore things. But yes, so thank you very much, by the way, Davros, for joining us. Remember, the biggest way you guys can actually help us is by spreading the word that we exist. We think we've got an okay thing here. We think that we've got something that's entertaining, informative, as well as just fun to watch. And if you think that, do me a favor, tell your friends. We try to have a show for almost anything, but it's hard to, because the gaming genre is massive. I don't know if you realized it. I'm sure you do, because you're all gamers. Or developers. We have actually quite a few developers sitting in chat right now. I'm not going to tell you who. You should know by now. But anyway. So, let's see. Please don't do bad things. Naughty, naughty. And Raikachi, I have always had a problem with MMOs where I don't have people to play with. I need a community. That's why I'm in a guild. If I don't have a community, I am not the happiest of bunnies. And I can play single-player games, but I actually am one of those people who recharges by being around people who I absolutely love and adore. And I am so blessed that I have that, not just with the people who I work with at MMOBuff, but also the guild that I am involved in, and also some of my best friends. I am surrounded by joy, and it's a blessing. And I really do consider myself just lucky, really, really lucky that I know the people that I know. So Cameron saying, I'm just going to ask you why. Why do I watch these streams about gaming when I only play PlayStation? I literally know nothing. I'm sure it's a testament to the great hosting, and you're going to make me blush. Stop it. I take trolling well. Compliments will turn me beet red. Let's not go there. Let's not. I don't want to be beet red. Oh, dear. Oh, gosh. How is it that we only have 2K followers when you've been going for a year? Well, interestingly enough, we know that the stuff that we bring out is slightly niche. We're not coming on here to talk, or to trash talk a game or a person. We're actually having debates, analytical discussions, and it's not for everybody. But in the end, if you like what we have, and if you have suggestions as well, holy cow, we take good and bad things. If you guys really don't like something we're doing, just tell me. Because you'd be surprised. The amount of feedback we get that is positive is great, but the amount of feedback that we get where it's actually changed something that we've done internally to bring you guys a better format, a better show, a better concept, please, by all means, when you have something you like, let us know. And when you have something you don't like, let us know. Because in the end, it's you guys who I am doing these for. I could, if I wanted to, just stream and just talk to myself, but that's not fun for me. I want to ensure that I'm bringing entertainment to you all and that you are having fun. And if nothing else, you guys get people that you can sit there and troll and who will happily troll you back. And in the end, I am just one of those people that wants to hug everybody. I am horrible. So hearts and loves, and you can get beaten up by all the other hosts. I'll just ensure to hug you because I'm horrible that way. It's really, really bad. I really need to finish troll school. I fail at it so badly. And yes, I did bring up the suggestion, by the way, and that will be taken care of, and you'll be getting all kinds of stuff soon. Apparently, Lou's going to make our face melt, which is funny. Nikonese says, I'm not a huge MMO person. Star Trek Online is about the only one I play, so from that point of view, it's good enough to have got me playing it. Fair enough. Someday I'd love to pick your brains about what specifically it is you're looking for in an MMO. And sometimes it's the community, and I know a lot of people who are actually playing games that they don't like just because they love the community and their community is playing it. And then there's other things as well. So yeah, it's one of those. Let's see. See, but the dog puts in, I'm happy with that criticism, dramatic junkie. And now all I can envision in my head is Chris going, dun, dun, dun. It hurts. It really hurts for me to do. I have to be careful how much I laugh. My back is just not where it needs to be right now. So, no, Cameron, you're not a new host. You're a moderator. Cameron is joining our ranks of mods. He is coming on to help us ensure that we, for one, am able to give the information that needs to be kept out. But also, when we have shows where we have our hosts together, huddling, talking about something, we can sometimes miss really amazing questions or comments, and we don't want to do that. So Cameron's joining the ranks of he who will be grabbing questions to bring to us, and then all kinds of crazy things will occur. Like, space-time continuum black holes will be created at the CERN project. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be great. So Davros says, I only really watch Minecraft, so this is the only stream I watch that isn't Minecraft. Minecraft is exceptionally fun to play. I also love Terraria. I also love, I've gotten involved thanks to Aussie in a new game called Planetary Explorers. Really confusing, although from what I hear from him, boat making is a little dangerous. I'll have to let Aussie explain that one. Let's see. Mod logos will disappear on and off. Twitch has had some weird things happening for the chat today. I don't understand why, but it did some kind of crazy, weird, bouncy things. So that could just be all it is. But Bid the Dog, all of our hosts, by the way, have moderator tags by their name. So even though they're not quite moderators, they are hosts, and we want people to recognize them as such. So, if someone talks and they've got something that's their name, they're either a moderator for us or they are a host of one of our shows. Just so that you know. And don't worry, Nickony, you now have friends. You use a VGA. Why don't you use why are you still using VGA? Weird. You're going to start doing something with Unity. Interesting. Unity is an engine that we support here. In fact, we support all engines. I need to stress that. It just so happens that most of the developers that we've had on really love the Unity engine and share their love of the Unity engine with everybody that comes onto the shows. More or less, they built their games in Unity. It's an amazing community in its own right. In fact, I really should get in touch with the CM from there and get them onto the campfire now that I think about it. Oh, should make a note of that. Let's see. Poor Ryakachi. So, I still got issues, but I love you, Ed. Aww. And this is true. Not very many people can stomach the very serious conversations that are out there. And apparently you shave your head to be taken seriously? That seems really weird to me. The fact that you would think a shaved head would help people take you seriously. See, now I want pics or it didn't happen. I want you with the hair and I want you with the shaved head. So I could make a judgment call. Let's see. It can be very difficult to actually play a game and stream at the same time. I will tell you, one of the things that I did was I streamed WildStar in its beta format, and I found myself running around pausing for long periods of time to answer questions that people had and then moving. So I spent more time idle than I did actually playing the game. Which is why there's going to be some crazy changes coming here at MMO Buff that are going to hopefully reflect the future of what we would like to do for you all. And that'll be my only dig at that one. That's all I'm going to say. Cameron, in America... Okay, cool. Glad I could bring that for you. And yes, Nickony, people do seem to have the attention span of goldfish these days. But in the end... Sometimes people will sit there for an hour and just listen to the shows and the things that we discuss and then come back to us later. And in the end, we just want people to have fun. And you can listen to our shows through YouTube. And I recommend watching as well as listening, only because the facial expressions of some of our hosts are crazy. And also because sometimes someone will say something and you just catch another host doing something and it just gets really, really funny. So, but yes, there is more to life than MMOs, and this is very, very true. Davros wants a zombie game that people can actually make little settlements in. Rust, maybe. Someone brought that up. That would be Ryakachi. Cameron liked Habbo. I remember Habbo, believe it or not. I was involved with Habbo for about a week, and then I put it down. I found something more interesting to play. Oh, but it's just one of those things. I liked it, but I didn't like it. Ooh, oh, but the dog's already on my case. Why are you using DVI? Why are you using PGA? Why are you using PGA? Oh, we're not even going to start going into that. Let's stop with that. Oh, you're using Rambus? Let's stop there. Ha! Anyone heard of an old gaming site called World? They used to make homes and stuff and play games. Honestly, no. I remember like Newgrounds, although I actually, believe it or not, I was involved with Newgrounds for a while. It's where I met my husband. Go figure. Ooh. But I was involved in Newgrounds and some of the sort of sites like that. Like Psycho Goldfish, I believe, was one of... It's been a long time. Really long time for me. See, Big the Dog brings up a fantastic point. I have been in all kinds of clans and communities. I preferred running my own clan, but people... Yeah, people are the maker breakers of communities, and that's what makes them so difficult, which is why we offer the campfire. So, da da da. Well, Davros, if you're being taught Unity, you should understand that Unity is available free. Go get it now. It should be downloaded. You should be building something. Yes, I've been involved in something awful as well, although didn't something awful go pay? It had put up a paywall or something like that? Huh. It's one of those things. But the dogs, when I stream games, I tend to get absorbed. I did a 6-hour stream of Lifeless Planet last week, put it on YouTube. Enjoyed the time with people who engage with me, but I don't think it was that interesting. See, there's something to be said, and there's going to be a chat through Anouk that's going to be coming up soon about streamers and how to do things. I mean, when you do a Twitch stream, everything is live, so you can't quite cut out the mistakes. You're kind of stuck with what you get. You're stuck with what words you use. You kind of have to put your foot in it sometimes. But if you say play a game and you stream it and you really, really enjoyed it, but you want to only like put it on YouTube for people to enjoy, you can put up the full version like we do at MMOBuff, full episode, and then you can take a little highlights like our quick bites. I highly recommend that for streamers. But Anouk's got a streaming talk coming up soon. So if you're interested in that, get to the Anouk community and watch tomorrow night so that you can learn from Lonrem exactly what is going to be happening and stuff, because that community is amazing. Absolutely amazing. Totally should get involved with them. Games are fun, aren't necessarily more fun with zombies. I have to tell you, there is a game that involves zombies that's coming to PC, and I'm going to be all over it in a heartbeat, because it's currently available on things like PlayStation and Xbox. But there is this concept of being able to walk up to, a zombie and go really fast with these funky little rubber gloves with springs on them and the little boxings. I'm getting all up in that. That to me just seems like absolute hysterics. Yeah, but I like humor in my games. And yes, that fox, Newgrounds, Shockerama. Played Bin Weevils. To be honest, I have no idea what that is. So, no. I may have if it was under a name I don't know, but there you go. Davros, I understand. Screen real estate is so important, especially in game development. I was chatting with Chris a little bit after the data mine, and he's got 3 screens, and he's like, I'm thinking of getting 2 more so that I can, have my email here and have all of the Unity and the code and everything here. And I'm just like, yeah, welcome to game development. Well, he knows that. But yeah, it's kind of crazy. Let's see. I get like a mobile phone size gap in the middle for my world effort, so I can't do... Oh, ouch. Yeah, definitely need some big space. Need something bigger there. Bid the dog, this is why you do what I'm doing. I'm going to be turning to the community, and I'm going to be seeking people who are going to do snippets of shows for us and highlights for us. Find your community peoples. Get them to help you with it. That's my biggest advice. If you have people who really like the things that you're doing and are okay with giving you a little bit of their time to help out, the only good that can come from that is more friends. It's the way I look at it. So... Raikachi says, but live streams, despite the mistakes, is what makes it all fun. Like, take Amez in Hearthstone streams. So funny when he makes a mistake. He's always runs away angry. Aww. See, that's sort of how I've gone. It takes an awful lot for me to get angry at a game. If I get headshot, I laugh. If I get killed, I laugh. There's only the occasional time where I start going, damn. And like, if you've ever watched me play Nosgoth, I actually come up with curse words that don't exist in the English language. Have fun, Eloa Wendy. For those of you who like Esso, by the way, please go check out Eloa Wendy. She's going to start streaming it on Twitch, and her name is right there. Please make certain that you are following her. Also make certain you're following Bit the Dog as well, because these people stream a lot, and you really might want to check them out. But yes, I did get the article, and I did respond to you already, Gothic. I'm good like that. Snap. But yes. So here's the deal. We've reached the end of our show. In the end, it's all about the audience participation for me. It's all about the things that you guys enjoy. Do you like having the kind of interactions where you get to like nail down a couple of people and just talk directly at them and get engaged and involved? Do you also like when we start harping on each other? I want to get feedback from you guys. Please, 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 please get in touch with me, folks. Get in touch with me at voice@MMOBuff.TV. You can find us on Twitter. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on Anouk. Just write to me. Let me hear the things you want to know. Let me know the things that you want to share, and allow us to be at least a platform that you can totally enjoy, have fun, be entertained by, and in the end, hopefully bring a better life to us here in the gaming world. Now, normally we do a post show, but this entire show was dedicated to you. And my back, unfortunately, has tipped the scale from tolerable to intolerant. So what I'm going to say to you all is, hearts, I absolutely love and adore you guys. Thank you so much for taking the time. For those of you who are new, I'm so glad that you've decided to give this show a try. If you haven't checked out the others, do let me know. And remember, we are on YouTube. You can go back and you can watch shows that you may have missed. And if you honestly have suggestions, I want to hear them. If you really want to have... Bid the dog, don't get me started. That was like the first couple, honestly, since we started last August, that was the first time that I actually sort of took weeks to myself to get well. Usually I'm on every show come hell or high water, or I'm sick as a dog. So I've done shows horribly. Get it? Sick as a dog, bit the dog. Really bad pun. I apologize. I am so sorry. But yes, if you guys want to do some fun things, or maybe get together and do some streaming challenges with some of our hosts or whatever, please get in touch. In the end, keep in mind, September, our 1-year anniversary, is going to be a month of fun, a month of swag, a month of changes, and is going to have all kinds of stuff. And in the end, you guys are getting the chance to get your foot in the door to have a say. Please get your say in. So, on that note, I say to you, hearts, snuggles, all the things that go with it, you guys have been amazing. It is so lovely to just actually have the ability to just talk to you, because it can be so hard during a show when I'm trying to say to Miss Pa, you're wrong. It just doesn't quite work out that way. So, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me. And be in touch, because in the end, it's about you and what you think. So, thank you all. Have a very, very good night. Have a fantastic week. And hopefully I'll see you tomorrow night for our campfire show. Toodle pip, guys.